Good morning, everybody. Very quick article that I came across. Sorry, it's a bit behind. It was actually back in early March that this article came out. I only just noticed a tweet about it by Adnan Syed's, I think it's his auntie, Rabia. And excellent news for Adnan Syed, who obviously was the guy featured in the podcast Serial, and then there was also the HBO program series about the case against Adnan Syed, including that ridiculous policeman Dal Massey, who said that, you know, his bar for arresting is 51%. It's up to the prosecutors to, you know, to get it up to 100%. Anyway, that's let me share this with you. In fact, first of all, you know, when obviously you read about the hope for Adnan Syed and what he's been through with his case, it gives a lot of hope to both Steve and Brendan. So I think the first thing I'd like to share with you, and I know you've probably, most of you will have seen this before, but it bears reiterating. This was just after the Supreme Court refused to take Brendan's case, and I wrote an email to Steve Drizzen, and this is what he wrote back to me. So this is June 27th, 2018. Steve wrote that, you know, thanks, Paul. I've been in this business long enough to know that the struggle for justice is a long game, not a short game. 10 years, it's been 10 years, obviously, over 10 years that Brendan has been wrongfully convicted. And for Brendan, 10 years seems a long time, and for Brendan it is. But many of the wrongful conviction cases we have been involved in have taken decades to unravel. Indeed, Andy Hale, I was reading some articles by him. He's got one guy that had been in prison for nearly 70 years, wrongfully convicted from 1961. No, so 1960, yeah. Anyway, and it's 60 plus years. But many of the wrongful conviction cases we have been involved in have taken decades to unravel. But this is the main point, I think. I also know that dissents sometimes turn into majority opinions. That's obviously referred to the judges. And people in power change. And in particular, new advocates with new ideas emerge to bring new energy to the struggle. There are millions more people who now understand why children are more vulnerable to police pressure than adults, and why they are more prone to falsely confessing when pressured by police. And information and knowledge is power. Brendan needs your support. And the support of others now more than ever. Thanks again for your passion, and keep on keeping on. I need a wee break, but will emerge with renewed energy to continue the fight. Of course, I've been, along with Laura Nyrider, petitioning Governor Evers for clemency for Brendan. And obviously Kathleen Zellner is not sitting on her hands either. She is busy building the case for Steve. However, let's have a look at this article, which I found most interesting. And as I say, in particular, it's encouraging. It's really encouraging. Prosecutors agree to new DNA testing in serial case. Adnan Syed, who is serving life in prison in Maryland for the 1999 killing of Hae-Mee Ling, still insists on his innocence and is seeking a sentence reduction. There's Adnan Syed coming into a hearing in 2016. Prosecutors in Maryland have consented to a request by Adnan Syed to conduct new DNA tests on evidence used to convict him of the 1999 murder of Hae-Mee Ling, a case that intrigued many Americans when it was featured on the hit podcast Serial. In a motion filed on Tuesday in the Circuit Court for Baltimore City, prosecutors said that additional forensic testing that had been requested by Adnan Syed was merited in his case because of advances in genetic profiling. The motion was filed jointly by prosecutors in Baltimore and a lawyer for Mr. Syed, who is serving a life sentence in the killing of Miss Lee. The body of Miss Lee, a high school classmate who once dated Adnan, was found in a park in Baltimore County. Adnan was 17 at the time. Now 40, he has steadfastly maintained his innocence and is still seeking to be exonerated. An appeals court vacated his conviction in 2018, just obviously as Judge Duffin did with Brendan, ruling that he had received an ineffective legal counsel, but Maryland's highest court overturned that decision in 2019. Last year, he asked prosecutors to review his sentence under a new law that took effect in Maryland. The law gives prosecutors direct discretion to modify sentences of offenders who were under 18 at the time of their crimes and have served at least 20 years in prison. This is obviously the interesting sort of time frame of it all. Adnan Syed has been serving a life sentence for the murder of his ex-girlfriend when a podcast serial turned his story into a sensation. Serial, the 2014 series, so we're a year ahead of Making a Murderer, pulled apart old evidence that had led to Adnan's conviction, raising questions about the strength of the case against him. The retrial in 2016, a judge granted a new trial who maintains his innocence. His conviction was vacated in 2018, only to be reinstated a year later. Now, the Supreme Court of Appeal, in 2019, the court declined to hear Adnan's case, whose petition for a new trial had been denied earlier that year. And now, finally, we get this new review. Adnan is now seeking a sentence reduction, but more significantly, from the exoneration point of view, prosecutors recently agreed to conduct new DNA tests on evidence used to convict him. It says here, the case was further explored in Amy Berg's The Case Against Adnan Syed. Yes, the HBO series. Here's the documentary's major revelations. That process typically does not involve a renewed examination of DNA evidence, according to those familiar with the case. We're on about the retesting of evidence. In the process of reviewing this case for a possible resentencing, it became clear that additional forensic testing, which was not available at the time of the original investigation and trial in this case, would be an appropriate avenue to pursue. Marilyn Mosby, the Baltimore City State's attorney, said in a statement of Thursday. So, you get new people coming in with new ideas and a new sense of fairness, maybe without the desire to try and sort of cover up wrongdoings. The move comes nearly 3 years after forensic tests were conducted as part of an HBO documentary series following up on the case. Those tests, while unofficial, did not find any traces of Adnan Syed's DNA on the many samples taken from Miss Lee's body and car during the original investigation. Prosecutors and Adnan's lawyers are now seeking a judge's order to have an independent lab test DNA evidence that was found on Amy Lee's body. It was not Amy Lee's body, that's right. It was not immediately clear how these tests relate to the ones conducted for the documentary. Ms. Mosby declined to comment further on the case, which she characterized as a pending investigation. Erica Suter, director of the Innocence Project Clinic at the University of Baltimore School of Law and a lawyer for Adnan, commended prosecutors for their willingness to consider new evidence. Adnan has been waiting more than 2 decades for the opportunity to exonerate himself, not just in the court of public opinion, but in the court of law, Ms. Suter said in a statement. We applaud the state's attorney for recognizing the serious concerns in his case after several months of deliberation and review and agreeing that DNA testing is needed. We are eager to finally have access to the forensic tools to establish Adnan's innocence. Yes, so Adnan was convicted of first-degree murder, robbery, kidnapping, and false imprisonment in the death of Miss Lee, who had been strangled and whose body was found in a shallow grave at Leaking Park at Baltimore's western edge. At the time, prosecutors claimed that Adnan had become jealous of Hae Min Lee, who had started dating someone else. During the trial, a friend of Adnan said that he had heard him confess to the murder and accompanied him to the park to bury her body. But another student who said that she saw Adnan at the library when Hae Min Lee disappeared was not called to testify, focusing on whether Adnan received a fair trial. Serial made its debut in 2014. The series was downloaded more than 175 million times and won a Peabody Award. In 2020, the New York Times company bought Serial Productions, the company behind the podcast, bringing the storytelling giant into the Times' growing portfolio of digital journalism. Like I said, it for me, it just brings renewed hope, obviously, to Adnan and Syed, who has is clearly innocent. But yes, we applaud the prosecutors for finally realizing that you can't just go willy-nilly convicting people and then just holding them when they're clearly innocent. So yeah, a very good news from Adnan. Let's hope it's not long before they get the tests and they vacate his conviction. He gets exonerated and, most important of all, compensated. And we'll see you again soon. Bye for now. I'll leave the link to that article below. Catch you soon. Bye for now.